Hello, welcome back to another one of Chris's beer reviews, and thank you very much for watching this one. And we're off to another new supermarket beer release. There's been lots of new beers going into Tesco's and Sainsbury's, and I've been into both. I've been into Sainsbury's and Tesco's. Not actually deliberately looking for these new release beers. I had to pop into Sainsbury's for something that I knew Tesco's didn't have, and blah blah blah. Anyway, I picked up a few. I didn't buy the whole new range that's in Sainsbury's and the whole new range that is in Tesco's. I just don't do that anymore. I generally just don't chase new release beers anymore, and there's generally a reason for that, and that's because they have massively declined over the last few years. The quality and the standard of beers that have gone into supermarkets over the last few years has generally been quite poor. My camera's not straight, making my desk and the back look a bit wonky. That's annoying. Anyway, over the last few years, yeah, the beers have generally been pretty poor. ABVs have just been dropping and dropping and dropping. And so many of the so-called big craft brewers have been dropping their ABVs, which I find rather insulting. However, they seem to be back. The big ABV beers, the big double IPAs seem to be back. And for me, there is such a clear reason for that, is because that is what we enjoyed. We enjoyed those big kind of 6.5% and above ABV beers that were in supermarkets, and they were cracking. And not with the ABVs coming down, the prices seem to have gone up. I appreciate ingredients and everything else, and the costs in the UK have gone up. So I do appreciate that. But I do really believe the big reason why we're back to good old big ABVs on some of these big booming IPAs is because sales dropped. You know, we were all fed up with the rubbish. I could go into a supermarket and I would just walk past the so-called craft beer aisles, because I knew what was going to get. Lower ABV stuff, lower quality, rising price. And they've been fairly dreadful. But you go into Tesco's and Sainsbury's now, more so Tesco's certainly, and all their new releases are big heavy hitters. It's because that sells. All that stuff that was low ABVs just wasn't selling. And I think they know it. I think Tesco's know it. I think Sainsbury's know it. So they've had to kind of have a little jiggle around and start producing bigger ABV beers again, because they sold and they were fantastic. So I picked up Brewdog Pinball double dry hopped double IPA, coming in at 8% ABV. There it is. Really do not like that can artwork. Brewdog's, classic artwork a few years ago was fantastic. That just looks a bit tiny rebel-like, looks a bit cheap, looks a bit naff. Now, I like to do things honestly, and I'm always an honest reviewer, but I do have a bias with Brewdog because of the decline in Brewdog beers, and they've all generally been fairly pants over the last few years. So I'm well ready, or was well ready, to give that an absolute hiding and be biased and tell myself it's going to be rubbish before I've even opened it. I don't watch many beer reviews before I review a beer. However, Scott from Scott's Reviews Things, he's got this out, he's reviewed it. And I watched Scott's review, and Scott's a good beer reviewer. He knows his taste, he knows his hops. So he didn't pan it, he was in the middle with it. It wasn't great, wasn't bad, was in the middle with it. So it's kind of changed my view on whether I'm going to give this a good old panning, which is what I really expected to do until I watched Scott's video. So, like I say, Scott knows how to review beer. So, and he can taste beer. He names hops like he did with this. He named hops that he thinks that are in that, because on the side you just ain't picking out nothing on the side of that other than what it says there. Let's play the silver ball. Yeah. Let's have a go. Let's see what I think. Let's have a go. But yeah, I'll be honest, I was well ready to rip this to bits. But maybe it is an okay beer from Brewdog. But isn't that the problem? Isn't that the problem? That we're now starting to say, accept that a Brewdog beer is okay. 5, 6, 7 years ago, Brewdog beers, we were saying, were brilliant, great beers. The original Punk IPA, of course, that was amazing. One of the big first that got people into craft beer. What a cracking beer the original Punk was. The likes of the original Hazy Janes, Roaster Coaster, what a stout that was. Epic, epic stout. That's really annoying me that this camera's on the wonk. And now we're kind of almost accepting to say, yes, okay, that's an okay beer for Brewdog. That's not what we used to say, was it? Anyway, I'm already ranting and this thing hasn't even got near my nose or my mouth. So there we go. Let's get it in. Let's have a little look-ski at this one. But yeah, I agree with Scott. Scott said he wasn't keen on the artwork on that, and I agree. It just looks cheap. You know, the original types of Brewdog artwork were classy, decent, and they're now just a little bit pants, aren't they? Anyway, there it is in the glass. Pretty decent colour, very, very hazy indeed. Does have that kind of chicken stocky vibe to it. Let's have a little sniff. 8% ABV. Yeah, it's got some tropical vibes. It smells okay. It doesn't smell like a big, bold 8% double IPA. It's tropical, it's got sweetness to it, it's got citrus to it. Smells okay. Let's taste it. But it does look good. High pitch does look good. Does look good. Let's taste it. Cheers. Let's go again. Got to have a good few tastes. It's £4 as well. I like the bitterness, I like the finish. Nice bitter finish, piney kind of bitter finish. A little bit kind of herbalish, a little bit peppery on the finish. So I've started backwards. I generally taste more at the back than I generally do at the front. And at the back it's quite pleasant. It is quite pleasant finish. It's piney, it's hoppy, it's herbal and peppery. And I think that's its biggest kind of feature, because the flavours up front are a bit dull. I do like the way it finishes. Oh, so ready to bash this. I get more at the back than I do at the front. Well, misses. Front, it does have some citrus vibes to it. It does have sweetness to it. Get a bit of stone fruit to it. The stone fruit's okay. There is citrus, grapefruit. There is a coconut vibe to it, which I like. But it's all about how that finishes. Definitely stone fruity on the initial taste. Bit peach. Maybe even a hint of melon. For 8%, you've got no idea that's 8%. No idea that's 8%. The body to it is not big enough for an 8% beer. So yes, on the front, see, I'm having to work quite hard on that. Definitely stone fruit, kind of peachy vibe, a bit of melon type vibe, grapefruit. And then it finishes with that rather pleasant hoppiness, bitterness, herbal, peppery type finish. But it lacks at the front and it lacks a bit of body. For an 8% beer, it really lacks on the body. But quite drinkable, as you can see. I've drunk quite a bit. Yeah, we're pushing 10 minutes. We need to wrap this up. It is okay. The thing is, it's okay for Brewdog. We know what they were once capable of. I don't think they're anywhere near ever been capable of producing the beers that they could produce. It is okay. Would I buy it again? No. Do I like the can art? No. Do I like the body of it? Not particularly. But it's got some flavour to it. But it lacks flavour at the front. It really lacks some good proper hoppy type flavours at the front. But it does finish well, and it just doesn't feel like an 8% IPA that we used to love. It is just another okay beer from Brewdog. There you go. I've done over 10 minutes on a Brewdog beer, for crying out loud. I'm getting out of here. I'm done. Cheers.